There are several ways of planting the disease-resistant Napier, Bracharia, and panicum grasses. Let's look at planting from seed. One way of doing this is setting up a nursery. Let us see how. Let's get straight to it. First, we need to measure out the nursery bed. It should be 1 meter wide and as long as you want. It's good to raise your bed so you can easily manage your crop. Here's what to do. Take the rope and peg it into the ground. Roll the rope out across the length of the nursery, making sure that it's straight, and peg it on the other side. Using the rope as a guide, mark a straight line on both sides of the nursery. Next, spread well rotten manure across the nursery. You'll need around 3 kilograms of manure per meter of nursery. Now it's time to create your furrows. Space out lines 10 centimeters apart and make shallow furrows across the width of the bed. Do these across the whole nursery. Because the panicum seeds are so tiny, it is best to mix them with the topsoil so it's easy to plant them. Sprinkle them over the furrow lines and cover lightly with soil. Lastly, spread mulch across the field. This will protect the seeds from the sun and keep the soil moist. It is best to water in the evenings when it's nice and cool. How much water should the farmer sprinkle on the nursery for now?
Just make sure that the water is enough but not excess to overflow. Then every week you'll be checking for presence of weeds, and then you also check if the seeds are just starting to emerge. After the seedlings have formed like 3 to 4 leaves, you start hardening off. By hardening off, I mean you reduce the water that you are sprinkling, and then you also reduce the mulch. That will now expose the plant to the harsh environment before you do the transplant.
So what do you have here?
The variety that we have planted and date of planting that I've just brought to the farmer.
One last thing before we call this nursery completed. Ruth instructed Caris on how to build a cover for James' nursery. This will help keep the seeds protected from the harsh weather as they germinate. Caris has done it again. The nursery is good to go. Now that the top cover is in place, we can remove the mulch from below. If James takes care of his panicum well, it can last him up to 10 years.
You can also plant the seed straight in the ground. Only do this at the beginning of the rains or if you have irrigation. Here is how to plant it. Prepare a good seed bed. The soil has to be mixed thoroughly with well-rotten manure. Plant at the beginning of rains. Create 1 to 2 centimeter deep furrows and 50 centimeters spacing. Drill the seeds and cover lightly with soil.
Make sure to water regularly and check your grasses for common pests such as spider mite. It is also important to weed regularly so your crop is not competing with weeds for nutrients and water. You can top dress with a fertilizer or manure.